Seconds. Oh, okay, yep.
Right there. Okay. You guys will verify we're fine, but I think we are.
Want to?
Okay, so it's everybody here. I guess we can start here. And we'll start off with the approval of the minutes from the October 28th meeting. Any errors, omissions, comments to be made on that? No?
I'll move them.
Moved by Rosemary, second by John Selden.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Andrews?
Yes.
Fleck?
Yes.
Grady?
Yep.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Selden?
Yes.
Van Castren?
Yes.
Aldred?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Yeah, and next we have report from Nancy.
I don't have anything really to report this week. Just so you know, the issue about the 1 foot by 1 foot squares, I've solicited a couple of local municipalities and counties around the area, and none of them don't take the 1 foot by 1 foot. So we're an anomaly now, basically, is what it comes down to. So I'm going to go a little farther afield and see if I can research a little bit more and see if anybody has, if this has ever come up with anyone. And if not, then I'll propose a potential solution that might work for us. It might involve, I might have to engage the local municipalities and see if they'll just take the 1 foot by 1 foot, even in instances where they're on a county road, for instance, see if they're amenable to that, if they're willing to take on that liability, I guess you could say. But I'll get back to you, basically. Okay.
Question, so if we don't take it, township doesn't take it, what does the landowner do?
Well, in these instances, they've been doing these severances that basically it would transfer lands to an adjacent landowner. So you'd create a 1 foot by 1 foot that would then be owned by
Yeah.
a neighbor or
I
something.
understand that. So that's gone. Nobody takes a 1 foot by 1 foot.
We could only do it that way. Basically, if everybody refuses to take the 1 foot by 1 foot, the only way to do it would be to process another severance in order to create the 1 foot by 1 foot and then grant it to a neighbor. That's the only way to be able to do
Okay,
something.
but legally, philosophically, why is it, can somebody remind me, why do we even worry about that? Leave that up to the landowners and their lawyers and let them sort it out. Why do we even have to worry about it?
The only issue is because we're charging them $1,250 at this point to process a 1 foot by 1 foot square.
No, but my point is, we don't care about the 1 foot by 1 foot. Why is it necessary legally? Why do we as a county, when we grant a severance, I understand from the landowner's point of view, there may be some issues, let them sort it out with a lawyer, but why should we even have to worry about that at our end?
Because we have to approve it. Yes. We are the approval authority in these instances. When it comes down to the county or the municipality, they can take these 1 foot by 1 foots without the need of a granting a consent through a land division committee, for instance.
Okay, but what is the purpose of the 1 foot by 1 foot? Why do they have to?
In order to spoil the land. So
That's not our issue.
it is our issue, though. It is our issue because ultimately it means that people who do a severance and we grant a severance, for instance, or sorry, your committee grants a severance in order to make a property bigger. That actually can't happen. Something has to happen to spoil the lot in order
Fair
to.
enough. And what's so bad about us not even worrying about it? Hey, you can't grant a severance. So what?
Well, that puts a lot of people in different predicaments if they can't extend their property, if they can't change the property boundaries.
No, but I don't mind helping people up to a point, but let them sort out their own severance issues.
We did one here just recently for Mike Hall Farms. And it was the request, he had to basically get, everybody wanted the line in the back line for a bunch of houses all on the same line, not one here, one there, everything. So they had corrected a couple of years ago or 4 years ago, And then Mike, when he was in the process of selling his farm, he was told by the lawyer to get it straight across the back. So then the 1 foot square, I understand the municipality is looking after that. That was done with Jan, because we didn't take the 1 foot square, the municipality looked after it.
Yeah.
But that's the only way he could get it and go to the registry office and get it straightened out. It cost him, like he said, when I was done, it cost me a lot of money for to have an extra 18 feet. And the first thing there is impact to assess it.
And sometimes it's a lot less than 18 feet.
That's right.
Yeah, and in instances where it's just a correction to a lot, a few feet or what have you, or, we had one a few LDCs ago, which was, it was like a hydro pole needed to change hands or something like that. So things like that, I mean, they do come up, but there was previous severance on that property, which means that once a severance, always a severance. So therefore, the only way to actually change hands and change the lot configuration means there has to be some correction to spoil the lot. So, I mean, it's just another consideration for the committee, basically.
Yeah,
It would be nice if someone in government could take the liability BS away
That's right.
so that none of this would ever be an issue anymore. That's what it all stems from, right?
Yeah, it's the
County doesn't want
Pending
to
act.
1 foot by 1 foot because now they are sucked into a liability claim based on ownership of 1 foot by 1 foot. That's what it all stems from.
yeah, so now nobody wants it, so now in order to have it, adjacent landowner's got to take it. Well, why does that adjacent landowner want it if nobody else wants it? Like, what can happen on a 1 foot square piece of property? But
Nothing can happen, but by virtue of that person's name on that piece of property that connects to it, he's going to get named. That's what it's all about. Sucks.
Right.
I think the municipalities generally have been okay with taking that ownership on. It's just that the county has recently had a change of heart and has decided that they don't want to be owners of these.
And that probably came from
Yeah, I'm assuming. I can only assume somebody legally has told them that it's probably not a good idea.
Well, some lawyer, the insurance sucked in to try and
Yeah.
find coverage for that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's any new business or anything that anyone wants to discuss?
were all the signs up before I forget to ask that question?
Yep.
Yes.
Even the half signs?
That was actually, I didn't get back to it, but that was a real challenge.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And the signs are still.
Because of the windstorm, the ones in Eden were torn down, and I thought, Nancy let me know, so I thought, well, I'm gonna go up there and take a look. Road was blocked off in both directions, couldn't get to it because of the hydro trucks putting and repairing, and bell trucks repairing all the hydro in the bell. It was incredible. The hell of a, excuse my language, a heck of a storm.
Yeah.
Dennis?
Any feedback on our road request from, I forget which township it was,
The road.
take over the road?
Oh, no feedback. I can follow up certainly, but yeah, no.
I want to make a little comment on that, but Nancy thought it might be better if we waited till the end because it might go on and dip into our application time.
I will just make one comment. Sign is still there. I went and checked it after that. Sign's still there. It says Pratt Road. It's still there, and the post is there. It's just taking the stop sign down. And it's still on number of county maps. It's not gone dead yet.
Yeah.
Take the road superintendent out for a lunch or something?
But I'm not sure 7 minutes is enough.
I say it's a concern.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, just a quick question. Are we going to continue this unconscionably early hour for meetings for this? Will they continue to drag me out of Port Burwell so early?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no point in me passing a motion here.
So you don't want to start at 8 then?
No, we'll stick with 9.
I would acquiesce, considering if we've only got 2 at the December meeting, that we move it ahead by a half hour just for.
Get more in December?
No, the deadline passed and there wasn't, that's as many. I struggled with even deferring those, but technically through the Planning Act, you have to process an application in a certain amount of time. So waiting till the January meeting puts us at risk.
And there's not even past the deadline that could be moved back.
No,
There's no applications
there's low,
or there's no applications that you could move in, or there's no way that you can bump them in because it's past the application date.
there's several applications that will be on the January meeting, about 3 of them, but one of them I'm following up with the applicant because they didn't submit, for instance, it's a severance and convey. So it's a back portion of somebody's property going to someone else's, but they didn't submit the water or septic review. And actually, this is a good question to ask the committee. So the application form requires it. The septic in the well is nowhere near the severed portion. Should I be requiring the applicant to still submit this information? Is it really necessary in this case?
Just for the application, you mean?
For this particular application, yes. And I guess that's a good question to ask. Sometimes there could be at the discretion of the secretary treasurer. But in certain cases, the requirement is for every application to submit a septic review if you have it, or a well review if you have a well. And in certain instances, the well or the septic will not be affected. So do you require it in every instance? Or will you allow, for instance, secretary treasurer the discretion to say, in this instance, I don't think it's necessary?
I would say it's your discretion.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
Dennis?
Yeah, my view is it should be included. That's just part of the severance, understanding what's going on in the whole area. In this particular case, if it's a headache, I'm not opposed, because in many cases, we put a condition, or the township puts a condition on, that it's got to be well approved, well and septic. So if there's the odd case, and this being one, if there is a real time frame and they can't delay it by another month, I'm not opposed to just adding that as a condition, but not making that as a regular thing. I'd still like to see it included in the application. And really, the homeowner, they should do that. They should know where it is. It shouldn't be a big burden on them to include it.
John?
But in this case, you're just severing property off the back of the house, which doesn't affect the lot. So to me, it's not affecting the lot. Why are we even getting involved?
That's right. If the township's not getting involved, then we shouldn't be getting
We
it.
shouldn't be either. So I'd say no, it's your discretion. Like, all we're doing is costing the guy more money and we really aren't. Unless it's off it, I don't see why.
But correct me if I'm wrong, was that Ford one that came in last time? They didn't do a well at all, did
No,
they?
they did.
Oh, did they?
Yep, it's part of the application form.
Part of the
Okay.
application. But they are I said to Nancy, they'll be in a real problem because we've had 2 severances that have been done lately. They had to hook to the mortgage company made them hook to the water line. No ifs, ands, and buts.
Right. So for almost every application that's a surplus farm dwelling, you should confirm what your services are like, for instance, on that property that you're severing off. That's a given. Anything else where there's potential for building or severing off a buildable lot, it's necessary to determine where the septic system and well is on the existing lot and determine its what kind of status it has, if it's any good. But in these instances where it's like minor lot corrections, things like that, I'm up to the discretion of the secretary treasurer if that's required. And I think these consents will come to you anyways. So if you think it's necessary that that review gets done, it's certainly a condition we can always add. Okay.
So is anybody joining us online or anything for this amendment or not?
Yes, I see that Mr. Dryfout is online and he is, the applicant for E 2120.
Guess we're pretty close to 9:15, aren't we?
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Okay, this is an amendment decision in the matter of application consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act as amended as it affects the following property parts of lot 4 and 5, concession 7, plan 44, block B of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich, mailing address of 9563 Curry Road. Severance of a portion of the above mentioned premises is shown on a sketch attached to the applicant of a lot with a frontage of 2.28 meters revised along Curry Road by a depth of 41.53 meters revised and an area of 159.92 square meters revised, or 0.040 acres to convey to the adjacent property at 9553 Curry Road. The owners are retaining a 1,476.3 square meters, 0.36 acres revised, proposed to remain in residential use. Shed proposed to remain in residential use. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the applicant, once a surveyor was hired, indicated there was a lot of different pieces on this property that were owned in different ownership, and there was basically a lot of headache and confusion. So they needed to amend the decision in order to reflect what's actually on the ground, which is as they've indicated in their letter. And so we've recommended the revised as attached.
So move.
Moved by Ian, second by John Andrews. Any other comments, questions? No? So
Was moved by Fleck.
Black, seconded by Andrews.
Andrews, perfect. Okay, we'll take a vote. Andrews,
Yes.
Fleck,
Yes.
O'Grady,
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Selden,
Yes.
Van Castren,
Yes.
Aldred.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 as amended.
So now we have another 15 minutes.
We did have something in between there, but
That was,
yeah, it got pulled. So we've got some time.
So do we want to touch on this other discussion and
Sure.
we can always carry on later if we
That's
have.
right, that's right. Okay,
Okay, so reverting back to that application we had last month in regards to the Bratt Road in Dunwich. I may have made a comment a little rash at the end that I feel maybe I should explain a little bit. When I read that over, there was a lot of things in that application that sort of made me question it right off the bat. Was we're looking at a house that's less than 2 years old here. And now they're making them go through an application process and pay money to get an application process to get an entryway to it. I'm thinking, if this was not a road, why did the building inspector even allow the house to be built? And why are these people being charged to do this now? And then as it went on a little further and people started coming in and made some comments, the one neighbor who lived one side of the road that was supposedly transferred to the other farmer had never heard anything about the process, which from my understanding, all adjacent property owners should have been notified that such a thing was happening. And then he made the comment that he went to the municipal office and asked about it and wanted to see the bylaw, and he was told that, well, we can't let you see the bylaw, it's at the lawyers or something. Well, that makes me question, has it ever been closed? If it's at the lawyers, is it still in the process? If it is closed and there's a bylaw, anybody should be able to go in and ask to see that bylaw, no questions asked. So that's kind of brought me to my comment at the end that about seeming like the municipalities are putting their stuff on us to try and solve. So since I made that comment, I just wanted to clarify why I made it a little. And I think from what I've heard, there's some other people with thoughts on this process. Ian?
Well, my thought is, and as I said, the sign is still there. The stop sign has been taken down in the last 4 or 5 months, but there was a house at the front of that house where the house was built way back. There was a house there, and it was the Pratt house, and it was tore down. And these people, your in-laws are some connection to the people across the road, the farm across the road. But to me, that was always used, and I have had history, people have told me since, that at one time, the municipality took gravel out of the back, at the back of that property to put on their roads. But why can a building inspector allow a building permit to be given on no public roadway? This whole thing should be back, but there's no answer, when I haven't been able to get any answers either from the municipality. They just, well, it's nothing to do with us, basically. Well, it does.
Well, if it's nothing to do with us, it never should have got sent to us.
And why we go all through this when all of a sudden we're the ones being made to try and correct it, but the neighbors weren't notified, which he has the right to, because Pratt Road was abutting his property. The more I think about it, well, I don't even think if we had the county lawyer tell us, he won't find anything out either, because nobody will. It's one of these unopened road allowances that some places you don't even know they're there. And I think you've seen it, John, in some places in municipality.
Yeah. And
John?
I agree with everything that's been said, and I still think that somebody, it needs to carry on, and I feel for the family that had to do that. I mean, it's just an expense.
Yeah, we should not have had to go through an application process, as far as I'm concerned. If they were getting a building permit,
My thought is if you were on council in that community, that you should have some knowledge and some, so I would prefer it back to the previous guy that was on council there, and maybe he could look after it.
no comment.
Where are we at with that then, Mr. Chairman? It was approved.
Yeah.
Where does that leave the situation?
Well, I guess we've approved it, thinking back, and I think maybe suggestion was made that maybe we should express our opinions to county council on it. Whether that'll get anywhere, I don't know, but I guess the more I thought about this afterwards, the more it stunk to me what happened.
Mhm.
Rosemary?
Should we not ask the municipality for a copy of their bylaw to prove that what they say is true? I mean, you're just going on hearsay.
We should have, like, if that's a bylaw,
That should have been presented to us.
yeah,
Should be given us a bylaw if they close the unopened road
Correct.
allowance. We've all seen that. You got an unopened road allowance. We had one just recently in Wallastown. It's been published in 3 weeks in a row in a local paper, and people within so many feet of it got notice that they were gonna try and close it, but it didn't get closed.
because I'm questioning, I think the procedural process here was not right. And if it was in fact that the lawyer, like Mr. Lackey was told, that pretty well tells me it's not a done deal yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you saying the approval is not a done deal?
If it's she told him that she can't see the bylaw because it's at the lawyer, I'm thinking the bylaw has not even been completely passed yet.
Ouch.
But I may be wrong. That's my assumption.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think, from what I understood when I was discussing with Dunwich representatives, they think that it was actually never opened. So that road was never created by the bylaw that they should have done in order to have a road. That's what I think they had told me. So if that's the case, they had sent it to the lawyer to try to track down the history of those properties in general, I think, to see how that road could have possibly been created, or, who may have owned it, that property ownership. According to them, though, the lawyer that specializes in this type of thing, they're not high on their priority list. So apparently that's why it's been sitting there for you. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure.
I don't know, I've got the same story.
Yeah, so.
So they should have known that this was an open road or not before they ever issued a building permit.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the property had access to, what's that road out in front?
Fingal line.
Right, so they had access to Fingal, so they could get a building permit. But for whatever reason, one of the conditions of the building permit was to get this access from Bratt Road. Hypothetically, if they had access to Fingal, I'm not sure why they didn't just require a driveway to Fingal line then. But, because I mean, this would have forego all of this, then it wouldn't have mattered about Bratt Road, so.
Their in-laws or some relation to the people that built the house own the land. They could have put a laneway in across that land.
Sure, yeah, across their own lands in order to access Fingal.
But if you have a gravel road going to that property that's
That's right.
maintained,
Right.
why would you think anything else?
Right.
John?
And any time we've done any building or laneways on, we've always had to get a permit for a laneway anyway.
Yeah,
So I mean, I agree what you're saying, but I don't agree with what their answer is. I mean, because we always pay a fee for a laneway, and once it meets your satisfactions, you get some money back. And like a county road last one county road we did was $2,500. And we didn't get it back because it didn't suit them, but they left us alone. So I don't,
I'm kind of, I have the feeling Land Division got the onus put on us to cover up a series of mistakes made.
I agree with you.
So based on that, Mr. Chair, as a subcommittee, for lack of a better term, of Elgin County Council, do we have a responsibility to present a written submission to the county CAO or whoever, or to the warden, or, directed to the county officials in writing that there's a concern here and that it needs to be addressed? I think the county needs to know about this.
because Pratt Road is a road entering a county road. That sign is still there.
I'm trying to look forward. We can't change the past, and I agree with everything that's been said, how you just indicated it all. I agree with all that. How do we move forward from here? What's the best position that we as a land division committee should take if we express ourselves in writing to the county officials?
Yes.
Is it then on their plate to deal with? Because it's on county road maps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
If we're a subcommittee and we write something to them, I think they have to correspond to it in some way.
Yes.
Did you have something you want to say, Dennis? or?
Just curious what we can do. We have already passed the severance. And so just I'm picking up on something is about perhaps some regrets in passing the severance. Is there anything under the act that allows this committee to reverse a decision or to delay a decision once it's passed, or put on conditions that are so short time framed that it would obviously lapse the severance application? We certainly have the power to refund any money if we think that that is a fair way of doing things. But we've already got, and advocacy is always there with letters, but is there anything legally under the act that we can do to maybe help us, help the landowner with their case, perhaps force the township to think about it a little bit harder?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not aware of, I think conditions and decisions can be changed, but I think I would have to give notice again if that were to occur. And we would have to discuss it again as an application at committee, I think, in order to change a decision. However, the decision's already been rendered to, and I think it's in force and effect. So I'd have to ask legal. I've never dealt with anything like this at all, so I could
Answer it any further through you, Mr. Chair. Is that what we as a committee want to see happen? I
No.
personally don't think so.
No.
Because that's penalizing applicant who maybe shouldn't even have been an applicant further. But my feeling is maybe lean towards sending a letter to county council, but
That's what I would definitely think is the best way that,
And one, the county should be responsible for telling the local municipality to take that sign down, because there's no such road.
Yeah, so does the county still recognize it as a road?
That's right.
If we put something in writing to the county, I think the county would be forced to deal with the municipality and deal with the issue. That's my thoughts
Yes, I agree.
And get an answer.
and get an answer.
Okay, so what I could do is I could,
You want to have something else you want to say, John?
I was just gonna say, in the real business world, if this was a three-way, and we were in business, we would send the bill to the receptacle that didn't do their work, and I guess in the real world, we would send that done with a bill. But business sense I have that for what we had to do, because it was previously not done adequately. I'm probably not gonna gain anything by doing that.
so what I can do is I can draft up a letter, potentially, that kind of speaks to some of this discussion that we've had today. And I'll send it to the committee, not at the next meeting, but rather as an email. So because time wise, I think it'd probably be good to follow up as soon as possible. So I'll send something out to all of you to review. And if you have any comments or edits, then we'll work on it. And then at some point I can submit it to county council.
Fair enough.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Will do.
Thanks, Chairman.
Okay. So we're at, okay, so is Mr. Ford with us again this morning?
It looks like he is online, yes.
Okay, so for application E3820, Stephen Ford for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended to sever lands municipally known as 28548 Thompson Line, legally described as Lot 8 Concession 5 south of A municipality of Dunwich. The application proposes sever a lot with a frontage of 135 meters or 442.91 feet along Thompson Line by a depth of 115 meters or 377.3 feet in an area of 14,338 square meters or 3.54 acres containing one house, one garden shed, proposed to create one new lot surplus to the needs of the owner. The owners are retaining 20.42 hectares or 50.45 acres proposed to remain in agricultural use. The decision on application E32 was deferred at the request of the Land Division Committee on October 28, 2020, in order for the applicant agent to explore a reduction in lot size for the surplus farm dwelling and to confirm ownership of the adjacent farm operation.
Okay, so since that time, through you, Mr. Chair, the applicant has submitted something from the registry office that confirms that he owns the adjacent property that we have in question. And as well, they have offered to reduce the property in the following manner. The applicants proposed to sever a lot with a frontage of 88 meters along Thompson Line by a depth of 98 meters and an area of 8,624 square meters containing one house and one garden shed. Proposed to create one new lot surplus to the needs of the owner. The owners are now retaining 20.98 hectares proposed to remain in agricultural use. The applicants also proposed to create an easement on the retained lands having a frontage of 47 meters along Thompson Line by a depth of 115 meters. Proposed to provide access to a well in favor of the severed lands. So the property itself is now proposed at 2.13 acres, although still fairly large for surplus farm dwelling. The staff have reviewed it based on the policies and the content of our official plans, the local official plans, PPS, and I'm recommending support for this consent, subject to conditions, the following conditions. Staff support this revised application and recommend the following conditions: a digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan and a solicitor undertaking. And then it is also recommended that the following conditions from the municipality of Dutton Dunwich be included: zoning bylaw amendment, septic system review for the severed parcel has been completed, municipal drain reapportionments have been completed, mutual drain agreement, 2 hard copies and 1 digital copy of the registered survey, taxes are to be paid in full, that all Dutton Dunwich planning application fees set out in the fees bylaw be paid to the municipality, and that the solicitor provides an undertaking.
Just one question. Mike Ford's property is not adjacent to this piece of property. It's one over. There's one in between. So not gonna make a difference, but there's a parcel of land in between. It's not adjacent.
Any other questions or comments? Don Andrews will move it. O'Grady,
Andrews moved, seconded by O'Grady.
any further comments?
One comment, if I could. I found this application extremely confusing. And I would ask that in future, if an application comes in with not full information, that it be sent back to be corrected. There was a number of issues that I had highlighted in here. It took me hours to figure out who was doing what.
Ian?
Just my comment on it. Normally, when a severance is being done, it's the person buying the property that's severing the house off. It's not done by the owner of the house whose name is on the severance application. It's normally, the whole thing is done by the person that is buying the property, and then he buys the property and severs the house off. Is that not right?
We've done both.
We had,
We've done both.
No, but
So an existing farm owner with a surplus dwelling, he could apply for a severance, get the severance, and then sell that lot off. So either way, but this one was Stephen, Michael, the owner, Ford, Michael, Stephen. Okay, who's who here? I found it very confusing, and the original application did not include the page that showed that he owned farmland, where it was. That page was missing from the application. The comment that I would like to see it a little clearer with all documentation required.
okay, thank you, Dick. So if no further comments, we can,
No further comments?
yes,
Okay, so it will be recommended as revised, which is the one I read out. I'll take a vote. Andrews,
Yes.
Fleck,
yes,
O'Grady,
Yes.
Kennedy. Yes. Selden,
Yes.
Van Castren.
Yes.
Aldred.
yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Decision rendered today for this application, what's the number here? E3820 will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There's a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any conditions imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documentation for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you'd like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you. I guess I should have asked the applicant if you had any comments. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay. We have a few minutes. Sorry, everyone.
You never know. Sometimes they take longer, sometimes they take less.
All right.
and your, Mr. Chairman, I have given Nancy the 5 blue numbers that are all in a row there. But they're all, it was a 300-acre parcel divided into 60, 50-acre parcels, 1980 or so. And then given the different names.
Well, I just found it very confusing when the application for consent was in Stephen's name. And then on the surplus farm dwelling information form, provide confirmation that the surplus dwelling is capable, occupied by owner Stephen Ford. Okay, he's the applicant. Identify how the dwelling is surplus. Purchaser, residence on separate property. Okay. Does the owner, purchasing farmer own any other dwellings? No. there's a lot of confusion in that one. Maybe I'm being too fussy, but kind of like to be clear before we say yea or nay. That was my issue. Question, Mr. Chair. Did we miss in
20.
3420? Yeah.
Yeah.
Antonius and Petronella Veldman?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we revised the application. What happened is at the last meeting, I was remiss to include the county requirement for road dedication. So I was bringing it back to ask that condition be added. However, as it turns out, after confirmation with the county engineer, it was no longer needed, so we removed it.
So it was on the agenda, but we didn't have to deal with it?
Correct. We ended up with a revised agenda, so.
I should have made a comment on that. We're going by us.
I saw David Rowan sitting there earlier.
He
On, I thought,
will be here for multiple other ones. So,
just wondered if we missed that. Thank you.
He had nothing to do with that one anyway, so.
oh, he didn't? No, I don't think so. You're right.
No, Petrina or Mr. Veldman represented himself.
For this next one, the lawyer for the applicant is on the line, if you want to let him speak as well or comment.
Dennis.
Mr. Chairman, going back to our famous road issue from the last break, and I know Nancy's going to be working on some stuff on that. Might be worthwhile talking to our legal counsel and at the county, and he might be able to phone up that legal firm. And I find sometimes lawyers chatting with each other, we might get some background on what's going on that they wouldn't be able to share any other way. And so it might give us some insights. Our lawyer might have some insights into how to approach it or what the other lawyers found out that he can share lawyer to lawyer sort of thing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I would ask our lawyer to see if he thought that was a good idea. If he thought that was a good idea, let him pursue it. If he doesn't think it's a good idea, fine, let it drop.
Because thinking back on that, like what they asked us for was a piece of property that was owned by Mr. Zettler to give permission across his land. But then was there not a section of that road before you got to Mr. Zettler's to Fingal Road that was not involved in that application?
Section, but they also could have had go over a little farther and put a private laneway in and stopped all that out across. The lady that, and the couple that built the house, it's the daughter, the husband, owned, where the lady that they own, their parents owned that next farm. There was a way to have a laneway go into it, but they'd had to get an entrance off a county road.
So we dealt with the piece on Mr. Zettler's.
Yeah.
And if the road is closed, it doesn't matter. But if it isn't, then who's liable if there's an accident on that piece of road from Fingal to their driveway?
Exactly.
The concern I have, and different ones have mentioned to me, just it's caused a little bit of talking. With that sign up there, you normally never see a sign on an unopened road allowance.
Right.
Never. You never see a sign saying.
That's, I would think some lawyers have seen that. If there was liability, they would definitely work on that.
Yeah, that's right. Especially, I agree with Dennis, maybe it is time to send a county lawyer, have Nancy talk to him about it. And then he can get through to the municipality and their lawyer. It's not a good thing out there. Everybody drives by now
Yeah.
on the Fingal line. There've been a lot of pictures taken of that sign.
You know, why are they taking, excuse me, Mr. Chair, why are they taking the pictures?
Well, people are just out there. They think that there's something haywire here.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is not good. At the risk of stating the obvious.
One more minute.
Do we have a representation with us in regards to the Little John application online?
Yes, we do. Good day, Mr. Chair and committee members. Jones is on the line. I also have the applicant, Peter Littlejohn, who's called in, and the proposed purchaser, Tim Sweeney, have phoned in as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess it's 9:45. We can proceed here. Application E4120, Peter Littlejohn and Sarah Littlejohn for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990 is amended to sever lands municipally known as 29357 Talbot Line, part of lot 12 and part of lot 11, concession 8, municipality of Dutton Dunwich. The applicants propose to sever a flag-shaped lot with a frontage of 10 meters or 32.81 feet along Talbot Line and a total width of 82 meters or 269.029 feet by a depth of 99 meters, 324.803 feet in a total area of 1.2 hectares or 2.77 acres, containing one house to create one new lot surplus to the needs of the owners. The owners are retaining 81.3 hectares or 200.9 acres containing one barn proposed to remain in agricultural use. Decision on application E4120 was deferred at the request of the Land Division Committee on October 28, 2020, in order for the applicant agent to explore possible condition or conditions related to the environmental impact study. Sorry, carry on or?
Nope, I can.
Hey, Nancy?
So since that time, the agent for the file and myself have been in discussions with respect to how to a potential condition related to the environmental impact study. The proposed agent came up with the following wording, which staff is willing to support. And it's as follows: the applicant shall provide an environmental impact study, which shall demonstrate that the severance of the surplus farm dwelling as proposed in consent application E4120 will have no negative impact on the natural features or their ecological functions of the adjoining significant woodlands. The scope of the EIS shall be agreed to in advance by the applicant, the County of Elgin, and the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority if required. And additional conditions recommended from the county are as follows: a digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan be provided to the county, solicitor undertaking to provide copy of registered deed. It is also recommended that the conditions for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich be included, that a zoning bylaw is in force and effect, that septic system review for the severed parcel has been completed, that municipal drain reapportionments have been completed, that a mutual drain agreement has been provided, that the location of the water connection be confirmed, that an environmental impact assessment be conducted to the satisfaction of the municipality in consultation with the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, that approval is received from the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, that 2 hard copies and 1 digital copy of the registered survey have been provided, taxes are to be paid in full, that all Dunwich planning application fees be paid to the municipality, and that a solicitor provides an undertaking.
Any questions, comments from committee members? Ian?
Just one comment. The water connection pit is on the west side of that laneway. It has to be, the water line has to stay on the right of way going in. So that's one of the ones the municipalities asked for, that the water line be on the laneway going in. And it's marked now, the water connection or the water pit valve is marked in the front.
Okay. Any comment, or Dennis?
Just on the recommendations, Nancy, just a little bit of, I think, cleaning up some of the word a little bit on your memo. The first page A talks about the EIS agreed by the applicant, the county, and Lower Thames if required. And I know that then you go on to explain that the township had some conditions that they wanted included. And if you look at F and G, conducted to the satisfaction of the municipality, most lay people wouldn't understand that the county and the municipality are 2 separate entities. I'd like that cleaned up a little bit. And then there's also a little bit of confusion with F and G. We've got consultation with the Lower Thames. I believe they can consult on the significant forest. I'm not sure they've got power. But then we've got approval under G. And I think it's the approval of the natural features and the slopes. I can't remember if there's a floodplain there or not, but I thought there was a hazard land. So I believe they have to approve hazard land, but be consulted with on the EIS, but I'm not 100% sure what's been delegated down to the Conservation Authority here. Do they have approval power for the EIS for the significant woodlot? So I'd just like to see that wording cleaned up with your clause A and clause F and G.
So through you, Mr. Chair, the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority would only be issuing permits for in relation to hazard lands. It is not their purview to review or provide comments on in EIS regards to if it's a significant woodland.
I understand all that. Most people don't understand it to that detail. They just go by what we write here. And what we write here say they have to consult. Okay, that's fine, but then they have to approve. And those are two separate clauses with two separate conditions that have to be met. So I think it just needs to be clear to somebody who's not familiar dealing with government that those are two separate things and not one and the same. One is consult on the woodlands, the other is approve hazard land. That's my understanding, but then in some jurisdictions, some conservation authorities have delegated power to approve significant forests as well. So that's why I'm not sure what power the conservation authority has from either the municipality or the county. Do they have the power to approve an EIS for significant woodlands?
Do not.
I don't know.
Okay. Whereas, but other parts of the province, they do.
Yeah, and they do not. And in fact, in this particular case, they do not have the ability to approve a woodland. Like I mentioned, their purview is only hazard lands.
Okay, so then they consult on the woodland, but then they approve under the Conservation Authorities Act.
So here's the thing, these are the conditions related to the municipality of Dunwich, which I'm not sure, I think the committee can potentially change them. I cannot. I think you can possibly direct these conditions to be altered if you'd like. For instance, G can be further specified that the approval that they receive is in relation to the hazard lands only. Or F, that the environmental impact assessment be conducted to the satisfaction of the municipality and the County of Elgin in consultation with Lower Thames. We can certainly clarify those, or the committee can choose to clarify those conditions. So it'll be from your direction that I do that.
John?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead there.
Go ahead.
Sorry, if I may, Mr. Chair, perhaps I think, both F and G are dealt with the condition that Nancy and I had worked on, and perhaps just removing F and G from the conditions and inserting, the EIS will be in consultation with both the municipality, the Elgin County staff, and Lower Thames Conservation Authority. The scope of that EIS will cover off all issues that you're looking for from an environmental perspective.
Okay, thank you. John Andrews, you had a comment?
I have somewhat of a problem. Who delegated this plan and the environmental impact? Is that staff?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the official plan designates these lands as having woodlot on them. Yeah, it's an overlay basically in the official plan. And then through that, there's also policies of the official plan which require a review within 120 meters.
I actually drove back in there. I don't know if anybody's been back in there. And my own house, I would have the same problem. I built it on the edge of a woods. But that house there's maybe 20 trees, like everything is behind the house that to my knowledge, that he's severing. So I'm somewhat why we got so concerned with this one, but.
Through you, Mr. Chair, because the policies of the official plan require it, right? So.
Only where the house is, it's where the other land is.
And I mean, this is a severance of a lot, which is basically development as defined under the provincial policy statement and under the Planning Act.
Like what development?
It's development because you're severing the land. So basically, if you were doing nothing happens to it.
Yeah,
Because they're severing lands potentially to sell off to someone else who thinks potentially they can build on here. Those are all things that need to be reviewed then because they are in a woodlot. So.
I wouldn't call it a woodlot, but it's.
Dennis?
And I think that's the importance of perhaps having examples of terms of reference that we can help landowners with. Because a lot of consultants will just study stuff that doesn't need to be studied.
Right.
And so a lot of times they just go out and just a field visit with a one-page memo saying from a certified consultant, and M&R should be certifying them, is sufficient. Another consultant would go out and maybe produce a 20-page report. So it's all related to the terms of reference. And I've seen far too many very simple studies like this end up costing thousands of dollars because landowners don't know how to scope the terms of reference to keep that bloody consultant in line. And so if we have examples of scoping of terms of reference for these types of studies, this is a very simple thing that shouldn't take very much time. But it has to be done because of the official plan and the overlay of significant forests. And same thing with a hazard land approval by the Conservation Authority. It's not going to be an issue, but it's still got to be done. But we've got to be careful, and if we can help the landowner understand that the terms of reference is an extremely simple thing here. And if we work with M&R, and maybe even M&R might even have a standard terms of reference for this, then we can really narrow the scope so that it doesn't cost anybody money. And I agree with you, and I'm just looking at the air photo, I'm looking at that, saying it's not an issue.
Yeah, it is. It's not.
But it's got to be done, but it should be a one-page report. And that should be all.
Part of the official plan.
If I can, Mr. Chair, we have spoken to some consultants and reviewed the language that Nancy and I worked on. And we are looking at limiting the scope for this assessment, understanding that it is a requirement of the plan. But it's a very direct question that we've posed to them. Is it a negative impact or not? And it's a surplus of a farm dwelling. We're not contemplating anything else. It's basically taking a house that's already there and saying it's now its own separate. So I think we'll be able to limit the potential expense and are willing to work with county staff and Lower Thames to further define that scope.
Okay, thank you. Ian, we'll move it.
As, so to clarify, at this time, there's nothing on the table to change any of these conditions. Does anyone want to pass any sort of amendment to these? No?
I raise the issue. I'm comfortable with what the applicant has said and what they're doing. And so rather than messing around with it at this stage, I think it's covered off. I think it could be cleaner, but it's not worth worrying about.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. So Ian Fleck has moved it.
Okay, so
Don Andrews has seconded.
Andrews. Okay, we'll take a vote. So as deferred, on the deferred matter, Andrews,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
O'Grady.
Yep.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Selden,
Yes.
Van Castren,
Yep.
Aldred.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Did applicants have any further comment they wanted to make?
I appreciate everybody's time and consideration. Thank you very much.
Okay. The decision rendered today for this application E4120 will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There's a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse. A new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you'd like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you.
Actually, I'm online here for the.
David, you're
online.
You're off mute.
Can I give you a call back?
I can't hear you.
I got the number right on here and I'll just push the button and give you a call back.
Okay,
Yeah, Tom.
good.
It says that right here. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for the applicants for the Little John one.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Well, 1 minute to wait here, I guess.
There is too close to the lake.
That one's not though, is it?
It's class, it goes back 2 miles north of Wallastown.
I didn't think it went that far.
No, yeah, you fish the fence being and what they're looking at.
It just,
I know, it's getting more and more looking at woodlands and everything else.
but you know, to me, it was just, I don't know.
See, that's right on the edge of the hamlet too.
Yeah.
That's what they're concerned with. It happens in some areas where the hamlet gets starting to get developed and they cut trees down.
I just,
And I'll tell you what started a little bit for Chatham, for the lower Thames is what happened in Chatham, Canada. You saw all what happened there. They just took every bush.
There's not a tree left. There's not a tree left.
but I agree with Dennis, you know, the wording and the way it was stuff that I think we not really up to this group, but.
I'm seeing, and I think Nancy will agree, a lot of these new official plans are going to be a lot stricter than we've ever seen them.
Especially when it comes to environmental.
Environmental issues that's really becoming,
If that was on the edge of the lake, yeah, I think I can see.
but they classify now back.
I didn't think it was that far.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're proposing.
Yeah, it's not a lot yet.
No, but it will be.
Yeah, well,
Might be the edge of the lake in 5 years though.
Yeah. The way it's going.
I think you should,
Okay.
conservation code, plant some trees around your fence.
It's 10 o'clock here, so we can move on. Is there someone on the line with us in regards to the Dorothy Emerson application?
Yes, David Rowe. You're muted, David.
Are you with us, David?
I'm with you.
Okay. Take notice that an application has been made by Dorothy Emerson of 55267 Light Line, Vienna, Ontario, NOJ1ZO for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990. As amended to sever land municipally known as 55233 Light Line legally described as part of lots 13 and 14, concession 3, municipality of Bayham. The applicant proposes to sever an irregular shaped lot with a frontage of 244.3 meters along Light Line by a depth of 160 meters west lot line. Area of 1.92 hectares or 4.74 acres. Proposed to create one residential building lot. The owner is retaining 48.9 hectares or 121 acres proposed to remain in agricultural use. So Nancy, I guess.
So I'll go through some of the comments that were received from the municipality of Bayham. They recommend approval of this consent subject to the following conditions: cash in lieu of parkland, planning report fee payable to the municipality, digital copy of the final survey, and civic number sign purchased for the severed parcel. Let me just scroll through. From the county engineer, it's not on a county road. We received, I was only able to forward it this morning, but we received a last minute correspondence from an adjacent neighbor, Wayne and Linda Ayers, 55049 Light Line, and this is their comments. I'm sending this email to voice my concerns and opposition regarding the proposed severance at 55233 Light Line, Vienna. We own the property adjacent to the proposed lot. Our number one concern is the lack of water in our area. This year, I have had the MNR and also the Ministry of the Environment out to visit our property because of concerns of lack of water and drying up of our stream. They are still in the process of investigating why our stream was dry from April until October. The MNR representative believes that the water table is low in the area and that this will be a continuing problem. I am concerned that if another house is built on that lot, that we may have no well water. We have to be very careful with conserving water on our well, or our well goes dry. Another concern is the influence more houses and in turn more people will have on the wildlife that live on that property. Another concern is the swampland at the back of that property. I am sure the Long Point Conservation could investigate and enlighten any concerns they may have on this property. Finally, I am concerned that since this property is quite large in the front, that another lot could be severed off in the future, which would only make our water problems more concerning. Thank you for voicing my concerns. And now the county planner. In considering the application, staff had regard to matters of provincial interest. The proposed severance is located in a settlement area, Vienna. Policy 2.1.5 restricts development in significant woodlands unless it has been demonstrated there'll be no negative impacts on the natural features or their ecological functions. Policy 2.1.8 states that development and site alteration shall not be permitted on adjacent lands to the natural heritage features and areas unless the ecological function of the adjacent lands has been evaluated and demonstrated that there will be no negative impacts. As per the county official plan, Appendix 1, Natural Heritage, the proposed severance is located within a woodland. The applicant has not provided any study or review that has demonstrated there will be no negative impacts on the natural features or their ecological functions. In the opinion of staff, the proposal is not consistent with the PPS, as the applicant has not demonstrated no negative impact on the natural heritage feature. The subject site is within a Tier 1 settlement area of Vienna in the county official plan. The county OP contains policy related to lot creation. The applicant has indicated that the proposed lot is to be used for a residential dwelling unit in the future. County policy states that all natural heritage features are considered to be important in the county, while the location and significance of these features has yet to be determined in some cases. All of these features need to be considered when applications for development and site alteration are being evaluated. County policy related to significant woodlands specifies that Elgin County considers woodlands 10 hectares or greater as significant. Woodlands between 2 and 10 hectares are also significant if they are located within 30 meters of the boundary of a significant natural heritage feature, such as a woodland, valley land, or a watercourse. The subject lands appear to be located in a significant woodland. The feature appears to be greater than 10 hectares in size. Policy D1.2.6 does not permit development and site alteration within significant woodlands unless it has been demonstrated through an EIS, environmental impact study, that there will be no negative impacts. Policy in the county OP also specifies that an environmental impact study will be prepared in accordance with the requirements of the plan. Policy 1.2.3.1 also contains criteria on the evaluation of consents overall. One of the criteria is the consent will not have a negative impact on the significant features and functions of any natural heritage feature. In this regard, lots should be restricted in size in order to conserve other lands in larger blocks for natural heritage purposes. At this time, the applicant cannot demonstrate that the proposed severance will have no impact on the natural heritage features. Staff are not satisfied that an H2 holding provision will require the necessary environmental impact study prior to building permit to ensure no negative impacts on the significant feature. Therefore, staff recommend the following conditions. The applicant shall provide an environmental impact study which shall confirm that the severance and any proposed residential dwelling will have no negative impacts on the natural features or their ecological functions of the surrounding significant woodland. The scope of the EIS shall be agreed to in advance by the applicant, the County of Elgin, and the appropriate conservation authority if required. The submitted EIS may be peer-reviewed as per the procedures of the County of Elgin in consultation with the local conservation authority. Or the applicant will amend the zoning bylaw for the site to add a holding provision, an H3, that requires the submission of an EIS to the satisfaction of the county and the local municipality prior to any building permits for the site. B, a digital copy of the draft and final deposited plan. C, solicitor undertaking to provide copy of registered deed. D, the applicant shall provide to the County of Elgin a signed acknowledgement and undertaking confirming the applicant has been advised that the Ontario Building Code requires confirmation of servicing, including an individual on-site potable water and or individual on-site sewage. The applicant has made the necessary inquiries of the municipality to determine the work necessary in order to confirm that the site conditions are suitable for the long-term provision of such services with no negative impacts. 3, the applicant undertakes to advise any future purchaser of the above acknowledgement. And 4, the municipality confirms that there is sufficient reserve sewage treatment capacity within the municipal sewage treatment system. It is also recommended that the following conditions from the municipality of Bayham be included as conditions for consent. A, cash in lieu of parkland. B, planning report fee payable to the municipality. C, digital copy of the final survey. And D, civic number sign purchased for the severed parcel.
Okay, Mr. Rowe, maybe I should have let you speak earlier, but I'll give you your chance to speak on this application now.
Yeah, we've reviewed the conditions recommended by the county, and we don't have any issues with that. It would be intended, and discussions I've had with Bayham is that we would do an EIS in advance of removing the holding zone. and the same time, a hydrogeological report, which would confirm water supply and use of a septic system. So, no, we don't have any issues with the conditions as suggested by in the county's report on this.
Comments from Dennis?
So if the study is done to remove the holding zone, the H2 designation, then the entire property then becomes a buildable property, and they could sever off additional lots. Is that correct? Because the
No,
holding is gone?
David?
Muted.
You're muted there on us.
David,
Did it again.
Okay, I'll get unmuted here again. Okay, I think I'm unmuted now.
Yeah.
No, the hydrogeological report will determine the adequacy of water and the adequacy of for septic. The EIS, I suspect, will greatly limit the location of any new dwelling, which will probably be the one of the stronger conditions as well. I'm sure on a parcel that size, there is likely to be a site, but it will strictly limit the number of new dwellings that could be put on that property. I suspect that it would be, in all likelihood, just one. So the site itself will limit the number of dwellings that could possibly be put on that property.
Dennis?
My reading of the township letter says that if you remove the holding zone,
Yeah.
the H2 is only there for the purposes of requiring development through a plan of subdivision.
Okay,
So
what,
if you remove the H2, then what is stopping future development without a plan of subdivision? I don't care about opinions.
okay,
or
no,
how you
it's a
feel.
fact.
What does the
The
planning
fact
act,
with me-
what does the planning act say if you remove that H2 zoning?
Well, what we are proposing is an additional holding zone provision be adopted by Bayham that will require the conditions that are set out in the county's response.
So then my question is, well, then the answer is that there is future development allowed without a plan of subdivision then. Is that correct, Nancy?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's right. So the original deferral, I believe, was related to the fact that the municipality was looking for a plan of subdivision for this site. However, they have determined that that is no longer necessary. So they can remove the H2 at any time on this property, I think, because they're obviously allowing a consent. The H3 will require the submission of the EIS to the satisfaction of all parties.
Other comments, questions from anyone? Anything more from you, Mr. Rowe?
No, I think that again, the county condition will be adequate to ensure that only proper development takes place on the property.
Okay. If we have no more comments, questions, what direction do we want to go here? John Selden.
Mr. Chair, but I just want to come up back on Dennis's point, David. Is the H3 going to actually be a consequence of or is it an inevitable as a consequence of the EIS?
I think we definitely have to do an EIS. So I think we have to put a holding provision that requires the EIS. Which is what the county is recommending. So it's inevitable. We have to have an EIS here.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I didn't see anything in the Bayham official plan or the county official plan that the county's not involved in building permits. So I wanted to ensure from the county's perspective that the appropriate EIS is done prior to a building permit being issued. So that's why I've asked for that H3 to the local zoning bylaw. Normally, we assume that it would get completed, but I'm not sure. Building permits are tricky because they're mandated by the Ontario Building Code. And so there's only certain things that are required or considered for a building permit. And I don't know that an EIS is. So I wanted to ensure that was done. And that's why I've asked for the H3.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Nancy on that.
Jack?
Well, just a clarification then, Nancy, on your letter to this committee, I highlighted a few things where you said, in the opinion of staff, the proposal is not consistent with the PPS. And the applicant has indicated that a proposed lot is to be used for a residential dwelling in the future. And then you go on to say, regarding the PPS, that D126 does not permit development and site alteration within significant woodlands unless it's been demonstrated through an EIS. So wouldn't that policy statement by itself require the EIS before anything can happen?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, yes, and that's why we're asking for that EIS in order to confirm that the severance.
So we have to make it a condition of severance.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Either the H3, so they only have a year to fulfill those conditions. They can either choose to submit that EIS now and clear that condition, or if they're selling the lot, if they're waiting for services, if they're, whatever it is they're looking for that lot in the future, the H3 is a good flag, I guess you could say, for any potential purchasers or anyone that something is required on this lot before you can get a building permit, which is the EIS to demonstrate that the residential dwelling will not impact the significant feature.
So just to clarify once more, it's not whose decision is it to change it from an H2 to an H3? That's the township, right?
Right, but we're actually recommending, so it would be Land Division Committee is recommending that someone do that, yes. And I think the applicant would probably need to initiate that application. It wouldn't be BAM necessarily. BAM could choose to refuse to add the H3, I guess you could say hypothetically, the council could choose to refuse it, but then the other part of that condition could continue, which is they have to provide that EIS then.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I might be a little thick here, so bear with me. So if I'm the landowner in this case, and the condition of severance is right there, clear, it's a condition of severance that an EIS is done. Why do we then have to make another condition that BAM changes the zoning on that property too? That are we not double killing here?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it's an or situation. So they either A, provide an EIS upfront in order to allow for the severance to continue.
Okay.
That satisfies all parties. Or if they don't want to do the EIS within the year, or they can't do the EIS or
Okay.
have you,
Thank you.
then they can initiate a zoning amendment to add that H3 holding provision that gives that understanding that an EIS is required no matter who purchases it.
Got it.
Determine the appropriateness.
The importance of that two-letter word.
Or, yeah, I tried to capitalize it, but.
John, Tom?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Nancy, are you confident the EIS is addressing this latest correspondence? I think you said it came in this morning. Is that a fair response to the correspondent?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So this person has brought up, well, number one, the concern was
Water?
effect on wildlife in the area. So an EIS would be something that could potentially look at, if there's any significant wildlife habitat or anything in the area that would affect the ability of these lands to be developed. Another concern is the swampland at the back of the property. Again, that'll be identified potentially through the EIS. Is there a wetland nearby? That would kind of be, when they do kind of a review of the area, that would be one of the things that they would pick up on. And if there's any information that needs to go into the EIS based on that. The water issue is the biggest concern, I think, in this letter. And Mr. Rowe has indicated that the applicant will be submitting a hydrogeological assessment to cover off on this particular issue. Now, I don't see a condition and in either Bayham or the county has not added a condition with respect to a hydrogeological. For an added level of comfort, potentially the county or LD Land Division Committee could ask to add a condition that requires that hydrogeological be completed. However, it would need to be completed in that year timeframe. And again, that gets into that issue of who's purchasing the property, when are they developing the property, when is the appropriate time to submit that hydro-G? Is it now at the time of consent or is it actually at the time of building permit? So, and again, I'm not sure about the Ontario Building Code, if it's a requirement to submit an hydrogeological. David, are you aware of that?
No, I don't think that it is, but I would consent to adding not only the EIS, but a hydrogeological report as well.
Okay.
I think that really is the appropriate way of doing that.
Okay.
It's a two are hand in hand because you want to have the well where there's water, but you've got to also have the well in the house, so it's not negatively impacting the environmental aspect of it as well. So I think the two really do go hand in hand. That's my professional opinion.
Dennis, you got a comment?
Yeah, I mean, again, a hydro-G report does not mean that there will be sufficient and clean drinking water. It is just a report of what's under the ground. So let's not be under any impressions that it will provide clean drinking water for the neighbor or this particular property. It will tell you what the groundwater is, but it won't tell you how much, won't tell you the quality. Well, it might give you the quality depending on how much they're spending.
Yeah, excuse me, what it does say, because I do have them done regularly, what the estimated gallons per minute are, and also they do a water quality test determining the potability of the water as well. So,
but it won't. We're not sure at this point if it will give any answers to that person next door.
well, it will say that on this particular spot there are so many gallons per minute water expected. So, and actually Bayham is usually quite forthright on this, and they actually do require wells to go in advance. So normally in advance of finalizing the severance. So,
yeah. And my last point, Mr. Chair, is I won't be able to support this application. There is a recommendation by staff that even if one house were built on this property, that they should have a plan of subdivision. So to me, that says that the staff, in doing their due diligence, have seen something, that a plan of subdivision will ensure a number of things, more so than a severance. And so the township council did not include that recommendation. But I think it should be included, so I won't be supporting this application.
Jack, do you have a comment?
Very interesting point Dennis just made. We should pursue that a little deeper before we vote. But I was going to suggest prior to his comment that if there's a concern from the neighbor, I think that would be addressed at the township level when there is a proposal for a building permit. And that the township will have to deal with issuing a building permit and the conditions placed on that, would it not? Does that affect our decision here to make the severance? We've already got an EIS condition and a hydrological study condition. I don't know how much further we have to go, but this is a very interesting point. Can you elaborate on that, Dennis? You're saying that the township identified something?
Yeah, if you go to the clerk planner report,
Okay.
on the second page, they have, under the discussion, they have a number of bullet points, 2, 4, 6 bullet points.
Yep.
And towards the bottom, the second last bullet point, should the applicant wish to develop the 1.92 hectare severed land, even with one dwelling, then she's recommending to council that they request a plan of subdivision to ensure that they follow all the plans, policies, the municipal plan policies and guidelines.
I actually had that circled myself.
So-
But it was not a condition that the,
Council did not include that in part of their conditions.
Interesting.
Can we include it?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think, should they wish to develop oh, okay. No, I had understood that to be that if the applicant wishes to develop the rest of the lands, that would be through a plan of subdivision. Obviously, the H2 would remain on the retained lands, which is a significant portion, but I think that's bigger than 1.92, which is what this property is. This property must be what they're referring to, so.
So do we need more clarification on that? Dennis has got a good point here.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. The municipality of BAM didn't make that a condition.
It's just made it a suggestion, not a condition.
Should be a condition.
Remain in effect until such time as plan is.
Can we add it?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I
can.
think that would only apply.
You muted.
You're muted again, David.
You're muted, David.
Okay, I'm unmuted. That would only apply if there's more than one lot there. If it's only one lot, then they obviously wouldn't need a plan of subdivision for one lot.
That is not the wording that I see there. We
Well,
cannot guess on future wording. We have to go by the wording in the staff report. And the staff report does not suggest that. It suggests the entire 1.9 hectare property. Nothing. That's what it says specifically. We can't conjecture.
If you, through you, Mr. Chair, we take that example a little further then. So if we were to approve this 1.92 acre severance today, and then the owner or purchaser, whatever, applies for a building permit for one dwelling, the onus is on the township to decide whether to give that or ask for a plan of subdivision, right? If they give a building permit for one, and then at some point in time, they want to build another.
Yeah.
That won't be allowed unless there's other.
Plan of subdivision.
Yeah, exactly. So are we making it out to be more than it needs to be? My question.
So through you, Mr. Chair, they would also, if they wanted to sever the lands further, if they wanted to build another residential dwelling unit,
We could sell.
if they wanted to sever, it would come through this committee, right? So they would need another application that then the committee would review.
Right.
On policies, et cetera.
I don't think it affects today's decision then.
Like, I see what Dennis is saying. It says, should they wish to develop the 1.2 severed lots, even with one dwelling, they should request a plan of subdivision.
That's right.
So it's exactly what they're saying there is a little gray.
Again, through you, Mr. Chair, if I was the landowner and I wanted to build one house, I'd be a little put out if I was told I had to submit a plan of subdivision.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that was the original. So I guess this was deferred. I'm not sure if it actually ever came to LDC before. I think it had, or maybe it never even made it to the committee, but
It never came to us.
yeah, BAM did recommend refusal basically based on that H2. So they had, because this is in the Vienna Tier 1 settlement, so obviously then development could occur through plans of subdivision in order to allow for more lots. And in this particular case, this homeowner is only looking for the one lot, and they thought it might preclude future subdivision development by having this one lot. So they did recommend refusal. Now, however, that is now changed. Obviously, I'm not sure what exactly changed, but BAM has recommended now that they can go forward with the severance of one lot at this time.
Yeah, I think the township's report said that due to the change in the provincial policy statement, it now.
Which I don't know what they're referring to because nothing that I'm aware of changed well, there are changes with respect to servicing on private services, so maybe it had something to do with that consideration, but
I think it had to do with, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think that's correct. It had to do with the unavailability of water and septic. And I think it was felt that it was unfair or unreasonable, perhaps is a better word, not to, or to delay it for such a long period of time while waiting for water, municipal water and sewer, which are normally available in Vienna. And so they took the time frame, I think, as into consideration.
John Andrews?
Matter of time, I'm gonna move that we move it with the two,
Add the hydrogeological.
yeah.
And I'll second it.
Okay, just a second. Andrews moved hydro-G condition. Okay, just a second here. So moved by Andrews, seconded by Kennedy. So the motion then is to approve the application with the conditions that were recommended, as well as adding an additional condition with respect to hydrogeological required.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, so we'll take a vote on that. Andrews,
Yes.
Fleck,
Yes.
O'Grady,
No.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Selden,
Yes.
Van Castren,
Yes.
Aldred.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Any further comments, Mr. Rowe?
No, thank you. Thanks very much for your consideration.
The decision rendered today for application E6119 will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There's a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or this consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. Copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you.
I guess we can move into the next one. Behind.
Okay, we're moving on to Gregory Max Underhill. Do we have representation online in regards to this application?
Is it David?
It is David.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, good enough, thanks. Application E4220, Lot 25, concession to Township of Malahide, municipal address of 5031 Sawmill Road. Take notice an application is made by Gregory Max Underhill of 55032 Vienna Line, Port Burwell, Ontario, NOJ 1TO, for consent pursuant to Section 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, to sever lands municipally known as 5031 Sawmill Road, legally described as Lot 25, concession to the Township of Malahide. The applicant proposes severing a regular corner lot with a frontage of 27.15 meters or 81.1 feet along Nova Scotia line by a depth of 104.81 meters or 343.9 feet along Sawmill Road, an area of 2,998.4 square meters or 0.74 acres, containing one house and shed. Proposed to create one new lot surplus to the lands of the owner. The owners are retaining 39.79 hectares or 98.34 acres, proposed to remain in agricultural use. David, you just want to kind of explain this?
Yes,
to us?
this is basically a severance of a surplus farmhouse. The property is purchased by my client, used for growing cash crop and vegetables. Other than that, it is really quite straightforward. I don't believe my client severed the other house that was there. I think that was actually severed prior to his purchase. Other than that, it's again quite straightforward. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Nancy, you want to give us your?
So the Township of Malahide supports this consent, subject to the following conditions: that the applicant initiate and assume, if required, all engineering costs associated with the preparation of a revised assessment schedule in accordance with the Drainage Act. 2, that all outstanding work orders or bylaw enforcement issues be resolved to the satisfaction of the chief building official. 3, that the applicants initiate and assume all planning costs associated with the required official plan amendment, zoning amendment, minor variance, or other land use planning processes as required. 4, confirmation that the private sewage system be confined entirely within the boundaries of the newly created parcel. That system will be in conformance with all the required setbacks from lot lines. 5, that all applicable property taxes, municipal fees, and charges be paid to the municipality prior to the stamping of deeds. 6, that an electronic version of the reference plan be submitted to the satisfaction of the municipality. And 7, that the applicant is responsible to apply and pay all fees to the township with respect to civic addressing numbers and signage. And let me just see here. There was no issue from Catfish Creek. County engineer said there's no concerns. And from the County of Elgin, we have staff support this application for consent and recommend the following conditions: a digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan, solicitor undertaking, excuse me, to provide copy of registered deed, and confirmation of the status of the barn on the retained lands. It is recommended that the conditions from the Township of Malahide be included, which I had mentioned previously as well.
Okay, any comments from the committee members? John?
Mr. Chair, Nancy, is there a problem with the MDS on that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, normally, a lot of these applications, they just remove the barn. That could potentially be an issue. MDS is only a consideration when there's only specific circumstances, and I don't think this one in particular. You can sever a surplus farm dwelling and it's not affected by MDS so long as the barn is on the adjacent retained lands, which in this particular case it is. So it would not be affected by MDS. It's only affected, I believe, in instances where it's on someone else's property, I think.
No, it's the other way around,
That's
actually.
the other way around, I'm sorry.
Because it's across the road and diagonal, so.
Right, so then it doesn't.
David? Oh, sorry, Nancy.
No, go ahead.
So is it a problem, David?
No, it's the barn on the retained land. We're either going to remove it or we have to ensure that it cannot accommodate livestock, so.
Doesn't look like it.
Right, and as
Any barns on surrounding properties aren't impacted by the MDS.
right, that's how it is.
That's how it is, yeah.
Okay, any further comments or questions?
Motion, we approve it with those conditions.
Mary's made a motion. Seconded by Ian.
Kennedy, Fleck. Okay, so recommended with conditions. Okay, so there's we'll go through the vote then. Andrews?
Yes.
Fleck?
Yes.
O'Grady?
Yep.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Selden?
Yep.
Van Castren?
Yep.
Eldred?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, the decision rendered today for application 4220 will be circulated within 15 days after notice. There's a 20-day appeal period from the giving of a notice of decision, which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you'd like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you. So the next one is at 10:30, so we can move right on. Okay, application 43-20, lot 11, concession 12, concession 1, municipality of Bayham, municipal address of 55309 Orchard Line. Take notice that an application has been made by Gregory Underhill Farms Limited, 55032 Vienna Line, Port Burwell, Ontario, for consent pursuant to section 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, to sever lands municipally known as 55309 Orchard Line, legally described as lots 11 and 12, concession 1, municipality of BAM. The applicant proposes to sever an irregular lot with a frontage of 22 meters or 72.2 feet along Orchard Line by a depth of 108.15 meters or 354.8 feet and an area of 0.56 hectares or 1.38 acres containing one house and garage, proposed to create one new lot surplus to the needs of the owner. The owners are retaining 33.75 hectares or 83.4 acres proposed to remain in agricultural use. So David, if you would like to just explain this application to us?
Yeah, again, this is a severance of a surplus farm dwelling with a garage. I think the difference in this one, I believe that there is municipal water, if I'm not mistaken. The other thing is, with discussion with county staff, we have undertaken an environmental impact report, which I just received yesterday, which will hopefully satisfy the county's concern. Basically, the long and short of that report is provided any additions or new buildings would require a further evaluation relative to impact on the surrounding natural features. Other than that, the existing dwelling and the existing garage as they stand today will not have a negative impact on any of the natural features. Other than that, that's pretty well it. The client is quite a large vegetable cash crop operator, and the farmlands here, and actually close by, he farms for vegetables primarily as well. So again, it should be pretty straightforward severance.
Okay, Nancy?
Okay. From the municipality of BAM, they support the application provided the following conditions: rezoning of both the severed and retained parcels, planning report fee payable to the municipality, digital copy of the final survey, purchase of municipality of BAM road access permit for the retained lands, and purchase of civic number sign for the retained lands. And through this. The county engineer had no conditions as it's not on a county road. And planning staff provided the following comments. Policy 2.1, in considering this application, staff had regard to matters of provincial interest. The consent has been reviewed in conjunction with the 2020 provincial policy statement. Policy 2.3.4 discourages lot creation in agricultural areas and may only be permitted for agricultural uses, related uses, infrastructure, and residence surplus to a farming operation. The new law will be limited to a minimum size needed to accommodate the use and appropriate sewage and water, and the planning authority ensures that the new residential dwellings are prohibited on any remnant parcel of farmland. Policy of the PPS restricts development within a significant woodland. As per the county official plan, the proposed severance is located adjacent to a woodland. The applicant has not provided any study or review at this time that demonstrates there will be no negative impacts. As a condition of the severance, staff recommend that the applicant provide an EIS, which shall confirm that the severance of the surplus farm dwelling will have no negative impacts on the natural features. And then from a county of Elgin official plan, the subject site is within the agricultural designation. And it is also within the Appendix 1 woodland designation, overlay. County policies require that all natural heritage features are considered to be important. County policy related to significant woodlands specifies that Elgin County considers woodlands of a certain size to be significant. Policies require that an EIS be completed adjacent to a significant woodland. The proposed severance is located within 120 meters of the identified woodland. As per the county official plan, an EIS is required. Staff support this application for consent and recommend the following: digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan, solicitor undertaking, and that the applicant shall provide an environmental impact study shall confirm that the severance of the surplus farm dwelling as proposed in consent application E 4320 will have no negative impacts on the natural features or the ecological functions of the surrounding significant woodlands. Scope of the AS shall be agreed to in advance by the applicant, the County of Elgin, and the appropriate conservation authority if required. And of course, the conditions of the municipality of Bayham are also recommended.
Okay, comments, questions, concerns from the committee? Dennis?
Two questions. On the planning report, it's zoned as agricultural mineral aggregate. And I didn't look at the maps. I didn't go into any studies. There are no aggregate operations going on in that area now. There's no, it's all agricultural. Has there been any aggregate studies to make sure that there aren't any in this area that would then affect the residential?
Through you, Mr. Chair, maybe if I share, I wonder if I can share my screen so you can see the overlay, but basically it's actually a natural gas. This whole area has a natural gas throughout the whole area. I guess Bayham must be sitting on something that potentially has natural gas. It's actually about 200 or so meters. It's east of the river itself, this natural aggregate lay, I guess you could say.
Natural gas and not.
Exactly. And as far as I know, there is no natural gas extraction going on in the immediate area. But I think that overlay is more so for new development to ensure that that they should do their own due diligence for any of those areas, that if there's natural gas, be aware of it. You're supposed to protect for future extraction, basically. So,
Do you have any comments towards that, Mr. Rowe?
No, I agree with what Nancy said. Much of Bayham has natural gas resources, and I guess the most concern is if there are any closed or abandoned gas wells that are properly capped. But normally that is something that both the municipality and the M&R are generally on top of. I don't believe that's an issue on this particular property at all, actually.
Okay, thank you. John Selden?
Through you, Mr. Chair, David, there was a very bad, you just brought up that issue. There was a very bad H2S problem along Orchard Line. Was that not part of the retained? Was that not on the retained or the?
Not that I'm aware of.
I could be mistaken about that, but I don't think so. In fact, we were periodically inundated in Port Burwell with hydrogen sulfide to an extraordinary extent, and I was sure it was along Orchard Line, and I believe it's property capped now, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, usually the municipalities are the ones that, with the M&R, look into making sure that abandoned wells are properly capped.
Thank you. Dennis?
The planning report, number 4, talks about that the proposed rear lot line is too close according to their existing planning documents. And I didn't see that addressed anywhere. Do we have to flag that, or is that going to be, are they going to sort that out when they rezone it? Because the whole property's got to be rezoned. So do they sort out the fact that they don't follow their own side yard requirements when they do the rezoning?
Yeah, that will be picked up with the rezoning, as well as any of the recommendations of the EIS are going to be put in the rezoning as well.
You say it's going to be caught. Who catches it?
Well, the municipality, Bayham, is their building department review all the setbacks and to ensure that they comply or they're amended to comply.
Fair enough, but it's already included in their planning report, so why would they ignore it? If they're going to catch it later on, why wouldn't they have just dealt with it now? Because it's already been
We can
identified.
certainly put it as a condition. I don't have any issue with that.
You know, it's.
Nancy, what do you think?
So we're looking at number 4 from the IBI comment.
Yeah, the very last sentence of number 4.
Site-specific provisions will be required as frontage of the proposed site parcels 22. Oh, rear depth of 15 is required at minimum. Yes, so Normally in the past, I know through zoning bylaw amendments, that would be something that the applicant could actually ask for as well, is to ensure that these minimums are captured or that special provisions are put into the zoning to recognize the size of this lot. So I would assume that the municipality will work with the applicant to ensure that the zoning bylaw is correct. So it's applied to a specific property. I mean, that's part of what their planners can also recommend, so. But it's certainly, if you want to add a condition,
John Sheldon?
I'd like to ask a more general question, and I'm not sure if it's applicable here, but the retained land becomes A2, is that not correct?
A3, yeah.
they're A3, no, A1. The proposed severed parcel is zoned A1 and is partially within the regulation limit as per.
Retained parcel.
The retained parcel becomes an A2, does it not?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that, I don't know if it's part of this committee's concern or not, but that's Port Burwell. And does that mean that there can never be a subdivision on that property? Does that property stay agricultural in perpetuity now?
Sorry, let me just confirm. So it is outside of the settlement area for Port Burwell by a few concessions, actually. So at this time, it's agriculture. So yes, it will remain in agriculture.
So Port Burwell can't expand to that.
Port Burwell, through you, Mr. Chair. So the process would be that if it was determined that this was there's a few things that need to occur, but basically the settlement area could eventually be expanded to include these lands if BAM were to go through the process of looking to add additional lands. But it's done typically through a comprehensive review, which is usually at the time of an official plan review. So that's when they look at settlement areas and if they need to be expanded based on new population projections, based on lots of different things. And then also at that time, look at where's the appropriate place to grow. So is this an appropriate place? Do they have services? You know, all those questions will be asked.
Yeah, well, that public water supply going by makes it awfully tempting. Anyway, but thank you for that. I just want.
They make the review, then they can make revisions to their official plan if they want, as time evolves.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, one of the things is the county is currently going to be undertaking that official plan review, hopefully starting in the next month or two. And one of the things we'll be looking at is revised population projections as well as a land needs assessment to determine if additional settlement area is necessary in the various municipalities. So we'll be looking at that overall and then working with the local municipalities. If it is determined that there is additional lands, like for instance, necessary in BAM, then we'll work with BAM to determine what's the appropriate place then to add those lands.
All right.
John Anders?
I move.
Thank you.
So moved by John Anders,
Second,
second by Ian.
that's fine.
Andrews. And O'Grady was seconded.
Ian, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Matter.
Okay, and we'll go through the vote. Andrews?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
O'Grady?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Selden?
Yes.
And Castron?
Yes.
Aldred?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
The decision rendered today for this application E4320 will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person, or public body may appeal the decision or any conditions imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse. A new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. Copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you.
Can we have a quick break? Thank you.
The cause? No kidding.
When are we gonna break now?
The cause.
Ben Grow, 10:45.
I either go from
They are next at 10:45. Let's have a break.
Don't go just by thinking you got water on the line because you have to have attached stuff. Sets on both sides of how much water. You got that 2 years ago. We bought it.
On the next one, I think the address is incorrect. It says Scotford. I think it should be Scotland.
Yeah, I was wondering where Scotford was.
No, I looked it up and I couldn't find it, but I remember this one from before and I'm sure she lives in Scotland.
It is.
With the postal code, yeah, that's what I thought it was.
So when you look at the application
Yeah.
and you look at the handwriting, it looks like Stratford. And so that's what I typed.
Oh.
And then what happened was, so I put it all in, everything's all good, and then I went to send out the signs. And that's with using it with Curlator, that's when I realized, I was like, okay, this is not the.
Not right.
But it was already too late to change the notices because they were already done. Yeah.
Right.
So anyways, yeah, everything going forward after that, it was
In
correct.
Scotland, yeah. Well, the postal code is what gave it away to me, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, that just, it
Think that.
taking a lot.
That was not the deal, mister.
The application.
The deal.
I know, sometimes they're really difficult.
Oh, yes,
They should be fillable forms where you could just,
they are.
are they?
But they, so they are available, I think, online fillable,
Oh,
but people just seem to still fill them out by hand.
I love fillable forms.
One of the applications for this meeting, or it was the last meeting, I emailed out to the applicant and the person emailed me back and said, no, you have the wrong so-and-so, that I'm down in, they told me whatever state it was down in the States. So this person forgot to put, like, and I looked at it and I typed it incorrectly. They just didn't write their email address correctly.
My heavens, how do you get hold of them then?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Plus, you could do with people, because Lori's been here for 30 years. Not that you're
Not
gonna.
thinking they're gonna just, because the water line goes by.
Yeah. They're not gonna do.
And so I had that.
I can't see Bam doing it anyways. I can't see Bam doing it anyway.
I really enjoyed what I was doing.
Not with that. Not yet.
Where'd you live down there?
Not moving out that far.
No, but the county's doing their
Oh,
official.
yeah. Well, so for the municipalities, because I know that's looking at theirs.
They have to do. Years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do that again.
Okay, so apparently we were muted. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. We'll start over here. Application E 4420, part of Lot 7, Concession 7, Township of Malahide, municipal address of 15165 Whitaker Road. Take notice, an application has been made by Dolores Slansky Van Gogh and Jeremy Scrant of 238 Burford, Delahide Town Line Road. It should be Scotland, not Scotford, for consent pursuant to Section 53 of the Planning Act, 1990, as amended to sever lands municipally known as 15165 Whitaker Road, legally described as part of Lot 7, Concession 7, Township of Malahide. The applicants propose to sever an irregular lot with a frontage of 30.5 meters or 100 feet along Whitaker Road by a depth of 100 meters, 328.1 feet, an area of 3,665 square meters or 0.91 acres, proposed to create one new residential lot. The owners are retaining 6.6 hectares or 16.3 acres proposed for residential use. So if the owners or the agent who would like to briefly describe your application to us, we'd appreciate that.
I retained Paul, IBI.
Okay, Paul, are you on the line?
Are you there? Can you hear us?
He's there,
He's there. It shows he's not muted. Oh,
muted.
you're muted, Paul. Can you unmute?
There we go.
No, we can't hear you, Paul.
We're not hearing you.
No, you're not muted, so I'm not sure what the issue is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Must have been the setting on the whatever software this is. Thank you for your time this morning. I'm Paul Riley. I'm with IBI Group. I'm representing the registered owners for this application. As you're aware, this is the second application for the same severance. The previous application had lapsed due to some occurrences with the municipal drain conditions. And so the purpose of the consent is to create one residential lot of 3,665 square meters and to retain 6.6 hectares for residential use as well. There will be private services for our dwelling on the new lot. As has been indicated, the official plan of municipality of Malahide permits limited residential lot creation within special policy area 2. And the proposed lot configurations for the retained and severed can be in conformity with the regulations for A4 zone small lot agricultural use.
Okay, thank you. Nancy, if you want to make your comments towards this application, please.
So the Township of Malahide, I believe, supported this application subject to the following conditions. The applicant initiate and assume if required all engineering costs associated with the preparation of a revised assessment schedule in accordance with the Drainage Act. 2, that the applicant initiate and assume if required all engineering and construction costs associated with the construction of a new municipal drain or the relocation of the municipal drain. 3, that the applicant be required to retain the services of a professional designer and have an engineered lot grading development plan and ditch grading plan prepared. 4, the owner and has the necessary review and lot assessment conducted to ensure that it is suitable for the installation of sewage disposal system. 5, that all applicable property taxes, municipal fees, and charges to be paid to the municipality. 6, that the electronic version of the reference plan be submitted. And 7, that the applicant is responsible to apply and pay all fees to the township regarding civic addressing, numbers, and signage. The county engineer provided a response that said it's not on a county road, so they have no conditions. A member of the public provided comment, Adrian DeDrew, 3663 Avon Drive, Belmont. I am writing in response to notice of application for consent, application number E4420. I was disappointed to see the request for a land severance along Whitaker Road. This former property has already had severances, and it seems that after each severance, additional severances are requested. It was my understanding a request that has been made previously for this parcel of land to be divvied up into multiple severance lots, which was denied. It seems that approving this severance would oppose the previous decision. Also, I find it surprising to see this application, as I had called the Township of Malahide inquiring about the severance of 3 acres kitty corner to this property across the road northeast of the property in question. I was told a severance was not possible as this was agricultural land. I failed to see how I could be denied a severance for a property that is 3 acres, while the proposed severance would produce a lot of 16.3 acres and one of 0.91 acres. Therefore, I request to be notified of the decision of the Land Division Committee in respect of the proposed consent. And the county comments. Staff support this application for consent and recommend the following conditions. A digital copy of the draft plan and final deposited reference plan be provided. Solicitor undertaking to provide copy of a registered deed. The applicant shall provide to the County of Elgin a signed acknowledgement and undertaking confirming the applicant has been advised that the Ontario Building Code Act requires confirmation and servicing, including an individual on-site potable water supply and/or individual on-site sewage system. 2, the applicant has made the necessary inquiries of the municipality in order to determine the work necessary in order to confirm that the site conditions are suitable for the long-term provision of such services. 3, the applicant undertakes to advise any future purchases of the above. And 4, the municipality confirms that there is sufficient reserve sewage treatment capacity within the municipal sewage treatment system, as well as the conditions from the Township of Malahide.
Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns from committee members?
So the objections that was submitted, it really could be a misunderstanding of the official plan and the designation on the property, right?
Through you, Mr. Chair, correct. The special policy that applies to this area only applies to this immediate area. It doesn't apply to the neighbor across the street. So that could be why they were told that they would be refused. And this application was supported in the past. In terms of the understanding that it had been refused and then supported, I'm not sure of all the history on this site, but I do know that there was a previous application that came to committee a few years ago and it was supported based on the policies in place. So.
I move.
Moved by John Andrews, second by Jack Van Claveren.
Van Castron?
Van Castron.
We'll do a vote. Andrews?
Yes.
By better.
Fleck?
Yes.
O'Grady?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Selden?
Yes.
Van Castron?
Yes.
Aldred?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Decision rendered today for application E4420, Dolores will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you'd like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you. Any further comments from the applicants towards this?
No, thank you very much.
Well, just the condition from the county for confirming the sufficient reserve sewage treatment capacity within the municipal sewage treatment system. I'm not sure why that's included if there's no municipal sewage in the area.
Is there not individual septic required for this site?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So then in that case, obviously that condition does not apply. It's a standard that we apply for anything that's in a a settlement area, so it was obviously missed.
And just one other little thing. The notice says that it's 15165 Whitaker Road, but I believe it's 15163. Maybe that
Yeah,
should be
Yeah,
clarified
it is.
before this is finalized.
It does say 6.5. It should be 1.63.
Okay, we'll make that correction. So the address is actually 15163.
Yes.
5163, yeah.
Nancy, that was a correction that was also provided by the lower tier municipality
Okay,
as to which the address was, and I believe that's the address that we were given by the municipality.
15165.
I will double check, but
Okay.
And on the agenda, it says 15136.
63. And I checked Elgin mapping, the civic addressing on the Elgin maps, and it said 163. As long as that's cleared up.
We'll confirm the addressing.
Thank you.
Have to talk to the municipality.
163.
We will check into that and have it corrected. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so we're finished with that one and we're moving on to the next one. Which is, so we do the first one separate, right?
We'll do E45 first, yeah.
Application E4520, Lot 21, Concession 9, Municipality of Bayham. Take notice an application that made by John Stewart of 54965 Eden Line, Eden, for consent pursuant to section of the Planning Act 1990 is amended to sever lands legally described as Lot 21, Concession 9, Municipality of Bayham. The applicants propose to sever a portion of land with a frontage of 5.1 meters or 16.7 feet along Eden Line by a depth of 76.2 meters or 250 feet and an area of 388.4 square meters or 0.09 acres. Proposed vacant lands are to be merged with agricultural property to the east, provide a wider road access. So David, you have anything to say towards this?
Yeah, what the intent of this severance is to ensure that the existing laneway to the east is a minimum of 20 meters in width, which would then provide for a possible future roadway to allow then in-depth development behind this first tier of lots. So this was something that Bayham had requested to ensure that future development to the rear of the proposed lots could take place by having an adequate road allowance width for future development.
Okay, thank you. Questions, concerns, Jack?
Move.
Being very straightforward, I would move that it be,
No need to go over my conditions. Okay.
Okay, moved by Jack, seconded by Dennis,
Okay, hold on.
unless you guys want to fight about it.
And Casterin and seconded by
Dennis O'Grady.
Grady. Okay, let's vote. Andrews?
Yes.
Fleck?
Yes.
Grady? Kennedy?
Yes.
Selden?
Yes.
And Casterin?
yes.
Aldred?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Decision rendered today for this application E4520 will be circulated within 15 days after the notice. There is a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision in which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any condition imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of the giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the condition imposed and submit the necessary documents for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be moved. If you'd like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you. So now we can move on to Application numbers E4620, E4720, E4820, and E4920, Lot 21, Concession 9, Municipality of Bayham. Take notice, 4 applications been made by John Stewart of 54965 Eden Line, Eden, Ontario, for consent pursuant to the 53 of the Planning Act as amended to sever lands legally described as Lot 21, Concession 9, Municipality of Bayham. The applicants propose to sever 4 lots with a frontage of 35 meters or 114.8 feet along Eden Line by a depth of 76.2 meters or 250 feet, an area of 2,665.8 meters square or 0.66 acres. We propose to create 4 residential building lots. The applicant is retaining a regular vacant residential building lot with a frontage of 35.2 meters or 115.5 feet along Eden Line by a depth of 76.2 meters or 250 feet and an area of 3,003.1 square meters or 0.74 acres. Effective applications E4620, 4720, 4820, and 49020 permits the establishment of 4 new residential building lots and 1 retained residential lot. David, have you got anything to say about this one?
This entire parcel was created, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago. They've already installed the municipal drainage to ensure a legal outlet for stormwater management. The municipality will be requiring a well be installed on each of these parcels. And basically this will finish the extension or the development of Eden along Eden Line. There is additional lands to the rear that can be developed, but would be developed by a plan of subdivision because internal road system would have to be included. That's basically it. There seems to be a healthy demand for building lots in Eden, primarily due to its close proximity to Tillsonburg and Tillsonburg's proximity to London, I think. So again, should be again quite straightforward. Would be the last 5 lots to be developed along Eden Line within the settlement area or hamlet of Eden. Thank you.
Hey, Nancy, I missed you last time.
So we'll start with the municipality of Bayham. They recommend approval of the proposed consent subject to the following. Installation of individual private wells with water quantity and water quality reports for bacteria and nitrites. Content meeting the provincial standards for residential uses. 2, engineer design municipal drain and grading plan. 3, rezoning to remove the holding provision H2 from the retained and severed parcels. 4, municipal lot assessments results for each of 4 created and 1 retained lot. 5, digital copy of the registered plan of survey. 6, cash in lieu of parkland dedication fee for each of the 4 created lots. 7, purchase civic number signs for each 4 created and 1 retained lots. And 8, planning report fee payable to the municipality. And then skipping ahead to, the county engineer had 2 conditions. 1, a direct connection to a legal outlet for the severed lot is required. For all severed lots is required. If an existing connection is unavailable to the satisfaction of the county engineer, all costs to be borne by the owner. Discharge of water to the county road allowance is prohibited. And 2nd, that if necessary, an entrance permit be obtained from Elgin County for the entrance to the severed parcels. All costs associated with this shall be borne by the owner. And as well, lot grading plan is required for the severed lots. So moving on to the planning comments from the county. In considering the application, staff had regard to matters of provincial interest. The consent has also been reviewed in conjunction with the 2020 provincial policy statement. In the opinion of staff, the proposal is consistent with the PPS. It is located within a settlement area and there are no known natural hazards or human-made hazards. The subject lands In the County of Elgin official plan, the subject lands are designated as a Tier 2 settlement area, Eden, in the Elgin County official plan. Eden is limited in the availability of services. The proposed lots are proposed to be severed by private well and private septic for each new lot. Applications for the creation of multiple lots are encouraged to proceed by the plan of subdivision process. Lot creation by a plan of subdivision is generally required if more than 5 lots, including the retained lands, are being created and/or the owner is retaining sufficient lands for the development of additional lots in accordance with the land use designation. Previous applications for severance have created the existing lot, which is now proposed to be severed into a total of 5 lots. Although a plan of subdivision is not required based on the configuration of the existing lot, staff would like to ensure that servicing and the impacts of private services have been considered through appropriate studies. Policy B 2.7 of the county official plan requires a settlement area capability study in areas without full municipal services. Such a study will be prepared to the satisfaction of the local municipality and the county to determine whether the settlement area can adequately accommodate additional development on the basis of private or partial services without having a negative impact on groundwater used for drinking purposes and/or the ability of the soils in the area to assimilate effluent. Such a settlement capability study will provide the technical foundation on which individual plans of subdivision or consent will be evaluated, subject to the requirements of the appropriate agencies. The municipality of Bayham has indicated that the applicant has installed a municipal drain, installed the individual wells on each lot, and conducted the municipal lot assessments for the soil testing for private septic for each of the proposed lots. However, staff are concerned with the cumulative impacts of a total of 11 lots in this location on private services, particularly if no comprehensive study has been done to determine the impact of private services and its impact on groundwater and soils. Staff recommend the following conditions be added to address the servicing requirements as per the county official plan. A settlement area capability study will be prepared to the satisfaction of the local municipality and the county to determine whether the settlement area can adequately accommodate additional development on the basis of private services without having a negative impact on groundwater used for drinking purposes and the ability of the soils in the area to assimilate effluent. Additional conditions from the county are recommended, including a digital copy of the draft and final deposited reference plan, solicitor undertaking to provide copy of registered deed. The applicant shall provide to the county a signed acknowledgement undertaking confirming the applicant has been advised that the Ontario Building Code requires confirmation of servicing. The applicant has made the necessary inquiries of the municipality to determine the work necessary in order to confirm the site conditions. And the applicant undertakes to advise any future purchasers of the above. Direct connection to a legal outlet for the severed lot is required. If an existing connection is unavailable to the satisfaction of the county engineer, all costs to be borne by the owner. That if necessary, an entrance permit be obtained from Elgin County Engineering, and a lot grading plan is required for the severed and retained lots. It is also recommended that the conditions previously mentioned from the municipality of Bayham also be included as conditions.
Okay, any comments, questions, concerns from the committee? If not, Ian will move it then. Rosemary will second.
Fleck, seconded by Kennedy. Okay, we'll do a vote. Andrews?
Yes.
Fleck?
Yes.
O'Grady?
Yep.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Selden?
Yes.
Van Castren?
Yes.
Eldred?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Any further comments anyone wants to make?
That for all 4, right?
That is for all 5, actually, technically all 5.
Jack?
Just a clarification through you, Mr. Chair. Nancy, your comment there, previous applications for severance have created the existing lot.
Yes. So
Looking at that diagram, can you clarify that?
if you look at that lot, that's actually a big rectangular piece that was created through a previous severance. And now they've come back,
At the retained lot you're talking about?
the whole thing, that's right. So the whole thing. So the 5 lots that would ultimately be created, excuse me, are based on a rectangular shape.
Okay.
So basically that was created through a severance in years past. So it creates,
That was already severed and now we're dividing it up.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly.
I was looking at that going, well, that's just severed off the farm, is it not? Now I get you what you're saying.
So I think what happened 5 or 6 years ago that Mr. Rowe alluded to was this was severed off of the larger farm, that front
Right.
rectangular portion, and now they're coming to sever those lots.
So Going back to the discussion earlier about the 1 foot by 1 foot, so that was a previously severed parcel, which normally can't be severed.
It can't be severed and conveyed. Different in this particular case because these are actually being severed into new lots. So that
By the same.
description.
Okay, all right. And then the last thing, although a plan of subdivision is not required based on the configuration of the existing lot.
So the way that they have it, because it's a rectangle, it meets the provisions of our official plan that it create. Yeah, exactly. It's that there's no larger retained parcel like that. A farm, if it was being severed off of the larger farm parcel, then I would have,
Yeah,
that's right, then I would consider it to be necessary to do a plan of subdivision. But in this particular case, they had severed that rectangular parcel away from the rest of the farm. And so therefore, really, this severance is only the consideration of those 5 lots.
so that was well planned out, David.
Is there anything you want to say towards that, David?
Thank you. It goes back to probably almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Okay, the decision rendered today for application 4620, E4720, E4820, E4920. We circulate within 15 days after the notice. There's a 20-day appeal period from the giving of the notice of decision, which any person or public body may appeal the decision or any conditions imposed. If no appeal is received within 20 days of giving of the notice, the provisional consent becomes final. The applicant has 1 year to meet the conditions imposed and submit the necessary documentations for certification, or the consent will lapse and a new application will be required. Please leave the identification signs in place until the appeal period ends, after which they can be removed. If you would like to be notified of today's decision, please request a copy by contacting Nancy Passato at npasato@elgin.ca. A copy of the comment package is also available upon request and includes all correspondence received. Thank you. Anything else we want to discuss today? Not, I will adjourn this meeting.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, on time and everything, pretty good.
I don't know why I keep putting the wrong last name on. I don't know where I got that name in my head, but
So many different things, not a. Don't call me late for supper.
So everyone, the meeting for next time, which is December 16th, are we starting at 9:30? Because there's
We
only
have to, we have to.
I'm perfectly happy with 9 o'clock. 9
9 a.m. is okay? All right.
a.m. is great.
That's 9 a.m.
When are we going to set the meetings for January?
I will bring that forward at the meeting next week. We might as well discuss. Just so you know, I will be scheduling one for every month unless there is months that we should be missing based on, I don't know, a statutory holiday or something like that. But at this time, I would be scheduling 12. So, and then they'll only be canceled if there's no applications.
and since the calendar year is going to flip, consideration for next year's chair needs to be thought about too,
For next year.
for next year.
That at the January meeting.
Yeah, but people can start thinking now.
Oh, like in January,
You
new.
want a new chair and vice chair, yes.
Good to know. Okay.
I think the railroad's already there.
Thinking we got a good one.
It's all that extra money you make as chair, that's why you should stay there.
Haven't seen that yet.
Last check.
Chair.
It's in the mail.
John, per usual.
So, Doug, just to clarify, so I'll draft up that report. As I said, I'll send it to you. December 10th is technically the council. If you can't make it, it's not a big deal. I'm sure I can step in for you.
Definitely good.
Schedule it.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be in the morning. Council starts at 9, so it'll be in and around. Anybody else? That kind of thing.
Yeah, good to see you again.
You could probably, absolutely.
And
That was interesting. Yeah, I hope I.
there's no sense counting on that for,
So it's up to you just to let me know.
okay.
Much fun to come and talk.
Oh, last year they fed us, but they're not gonna feed us.
I know.
Will not feed you.
Incentive to comment.
No.
Weren't you here when I gave my,
I got here just as you guys were coming out the door, because Susan said it would be at a certain time and they were running early.
It's like the year before, Lauren gave it. I just got there as he was sitting down
Yeah.
because they moved it up earlier.
You guys that were just coming out of the council chambers, I walked in the front door,
Hilarious.
but I was still in time for lunch.
Everest is the one that's.
All right, we'll see you next time.
All right, I will watch for that.
I'll watch for that. I'll be sending it probably next week, judging by.
No, it's still not.
Because it was 161, I noticed had, but that's the house that's there.
So that's what the municipality said. So I sent you that email. So it's the one that's on the notice, is the correct one. It was on the agenda. I forgot to update that because I put it on the agenda like a month ago.
Yeah.
So the address on the notice is correct.
See you guys.
That's confirmed by the municipality that it is that number.
Yes. By,
So the applicant has it wrong then.
the applicant doesn't know the address. Yes.
The honor lost.
I'm like, pretty sure. I updated that.
Like this, was a parents thing. So they're pretty. Yeah, so I think. Consulting gigs on the side. Oh, very nice.
And then the meeting could start at 9. Yeah, the first application.
That's okay.
I'd like to just.
As it turns out, we'll have to discuss the,
Some of these consultants.
all the dates. Oh, that's another thing I need to know. All this stuff. All the dates.
Want me to do this?
So I'm gonna worry about it.
You want me to do like, what do you
Just give me a
want?
list because I don't want it to be, I don't want to calendar. I'll just.
This is.
Wednesday.
Just, yeah, I want to see this.